G'day Carbonites, welcome back to Space Engineers Survival Maybe. So you guys have just seen episode 12, I believe, where we built this. And I got some really cool feedback. So one of you guys suggested that we, instead of bringing the piston back, we leave the piston out. And the door and get the door to slope back into the mountain like that, which yeah, it would be really cool. But I just tested it in creative mode, and it doesn't look as good as I thought it would because of how long the door is. So if you were to think about it as a right angle triangle, the hypotenuse is always going to be longer than either of the sides. So what ends up happening is there's a little bit of a gap down the bottom and a little bit of a gap up the top. So it doesn't quite look very good. Yeah, I don't know. If I had planned it to function that way in the beginning, I would have been able to make the door longer, and I could probably, mold the armor around it, and it probably would have looked pretty good. So I don't know, maybe a future project we can do something like that. Another thing is someone suggested that I check to make sure the rotor can actually handle 30 batteries like we're planning to, which was really smart because I hadn't even considered that. So I tested that in creative as well, and it can actually handle the 30 batteries. So yeah, that's good. The only thing we have to do is we have to speed up the piston a little bit, because when it's coming down, due to the extra weight on the door, it actually pushes the rotor down a little bit quicker than it is in this configuration. So what ends up happening is the door comes all the way down first, and then the piston pushes it out, and it doesn't get to extend all the way. The landing gear locks it as soon as it gets a little bit of a grab on the gyroscope. So it ends up, it's sticking out about this far here. So there's a little bit of a gap in here, which isn't desirable. So I might do that now to speed up the piston a little bit. That way it's ready for future. So we'll just change this to 0.4, and that should be enough to keep up with it. Something else I wanted to do, we need to open this door back up, is in here. I just want to lower the offset, the rotor displacement as far as it'll go, which will bring that down just a little bit more, and it'll help keep that looking flush. So now if we test that, you might be able to hear a baby crying in the background. That's my nephew. Sorry about that. Yeah, there we go. That's quite nice. It'd be absolutely brilliant if we could get that that front face to actually slip underneath this slope. But I would most likely need to remove the rotor we have down the bottom and actually drop it down another block, and then just extend it up a little bit with some smaller blocks. We could do that in the future. But anyway, so that's it for this thing here. I just wanted to go through that with you. Next, we are going to set up the light preserver script. So actually, we need to rename that as well. I didn't change the name of it. So we're going to call this light offset preserver. Okay, so that's the name of the script if you want to download it yourself. It's made by Brian, I believe. Let's turn that on and edit. Here it is here. Okay, it's very simple to set up. All we need to do is get our lights, set them to what we want to be saved, and then we need to select the programmable block as well. So this one here, they need to be in their own group for it to function. So I'm just gonna create an extra group called offset. And the reason why I wanted to make an extra group and not just add it to the existing group is I'd still like to be able to adjust all the colors and everything on the fly. Because you'll notice, because we have the programmable block in this group as well, we don't get those options. So it's good to have two separate groups for that. So now that we've got all of those in a group together, okay, so all we need to do is run the argument save on that block, on that programmable block. And now next time we log in, it will it'll run the script once. So that was one thing I was worried about. I thought it might be something that triggers quite often, which would add to performance issues, but it only runs when you first load the world, and it just sets the offsets to whatever you had, and then that's it. So it's awesome. Just a fire and forget thing. We can get rid of this stupid thing. So that'd be good. Actually, we should... Why am I doing that in there? We should do that down here. Okay, so that's done. Let's get the HUD back up so I can see what I'm doing. Get rid of these. Realistically, I should have like all my lights and stuff here, because this is like all the sort of decoration stuff. Like I've got windows and catwalks, stairs. So let's put the lights in here. That'll free up a couple of spots. We want those and those. And let's do LCD panels. Those and those. So for this, I want a corner LCD screen, which I believe goes like that. We'll find out. Okay, so we're going to label this to make it easier to work out which programmable block does what. And edit text. Okay, so this is light offset preserver, and we need to show text on screen. Let's increase the font size. It's a shame you can't do a vertical like alignment as well. Let's make it 1.2. Okay. I like to make the background a dark gray instead. It's it makes it look like the LCD screen is on, if you know what I mean. I know like LCD screen technology is getting a lot better these days, and it like blacks actually look black, but it wasn't that long ago that they looked dark gray. So when you could tell when a screen was on or off just by the color of the background. And yeah, I think the dark gray looks better in my opinion. And also let's see what that looks like. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so this episode is going to be dedicated to just small tweaks and fixes and that sort of thing. So we're going to, actually let's do that other programmable block here as well. All right, there we go. Looks good. Should we do the same with this? Because it would be really nice to, we won't be able to do the ones that are above it though. Unless we move this beam, which I might do. Anyway, it'd be really good to be able to see what timer block is doing what. Let's do that as well. There we go. Nice and simple. Battery door. Okay, so that's done. Sadly, we won't be able to remove any of this stuff. We can get rid of this. Because we don't have anywhere to put this stuff. All right. I do want to fix this as well. I found a mod. Let's go in here. So there's this one here, Pocket Gear. I think it's brand new as well. I think it's only just come out, but in Splitsie's Discord, there was someone posted it, and yeah, I checked it out, and it's really, really good. Looks really nice, and basically it's retractable landing gear. So we'll be able to get rid of the piston setup, and I did test it in creative mode, and it doesn't look like it drops as much. There's still a really slow descend, similar to if you put a rotor on a spaceship. It just sort of slowly drifts down, very, very slowly. Not like this one where it just plummets for some reason. Like it's just, yeah, it's weird. I also tested it without the pistons and just had the landing gear, and yeah, it was fine. Just hovered perfectly still. So yeah, something to do with the pistons. Get rid of that. And that means we don't need this. Try and clean this up. We'll wait till daylight before we muck around with the spaceship, which I haven't seen your guys' suggestions for yet for the names. But yeah, I'm thinking like Parisa or something for Paraceratherium, which was it's a pack mule in Ark or something similar. So I want to get this thing finished. I want to get this haul done so we can get all the lights in and make it look all pretty and so I'm going to do that. And I don't know, I'll probably make another montage of it so you guys don't have to watch me weld the entire thing up. Okay, now I've made this difficult for myself because I need to put the windows in before I can put the lights in, because the lights are actually attached to the windows. And I shouldn't have built all that armor around it. I should have just put the windows in and then done the lights. We'll see how it goes. Might be able to slip in through the back here. That is disorientating. Okay, I will try not to show too much of that. So I found a better way to use the bottle thing. It seems to be more reliable if you put the bottles in a different container and not the generator itself. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. Or I guess I could just type in LCC and throw them in there. But what it does is it takes them from there, puts them in the generator first, fills them up, and then puts them in the bottle container. So I haven't had any issues with it so far. So that might be the way to do it. All right, so we've got these very dim looking lights in here. What if we use this one over here? Okay, corner lights. Color. I can't remember the actual color. Yeah, that looks all right. Yeah, it's a little bit too far. See how it's bleeding up through here? I don't really like the way that looks. I'm not going to be able to get rid of all of it, but if we can get rid of some of it. Let's drop this down to 6. Yeah, that's pretty good. And then we'll drop the intensity down. Maybe 1.5. That looks pretty good. Okay, no offset. How does that look? I just want like a, I don't know, weird glow coming from these cool shapes that we've got in the wall here. I think that looks good. Then we can see the wall behind the window. And see the light sort of seems hidden. Like you don't really notice it sitting there. But yeah, looks pretty good. All right, let's continue on. Okay, let's go back down here and use this control pad. Make sure we can see some of the lights at least. All right, so with these ones, we're looking for a nice contrast. Let's select that first so we can see what the bottom ones are. So we can see 9 through to 16 are the new ones. And we'll put these in their own group as well. So corner lights, base, capitalized. Top. Simple. Okay. So we're going to be careful with this one as well, because obviously we don't want that. We don't want it to bleed onto the ground. So we want the orange to take the ground, and this just to fill that cavity. That looks pretty good there. So we'll set that to 5. Intensity down to 1.5. I think we'll leave everything else. That looks pretty good. So if we have a look in here, you get this really subtle mixing of colors, which I really, really like. And cyan and orange are actually complementary colors. So, which I think it means they're exact opposites, I believe. I could be wrong though. I'm not a color theorist. All right, so far looking pretty good. So these are the decorations lights. They're not functional. They're just they're purely decorative. What I do want to do is place some lights up here. Now the original plan was to have these same fixtures that we were using in here, but I'm not sure if I'll do that because I think it might stand out too much. Although the roof is pretty boring, so maybe that's something we should be looking at. I don't like it. The idea is these are meant to light up the floor. They don't seem to be doing that. They're drowning out the other lights. Okay, let's turn these off. And let's try something else. Because having these down lower might actually be more beneficial for us, because we'll be able to get them on the floor, hopefully. Actually, we don't need to do that. That's actually not too bad. If we push the offset all the way down. I mean, it doesn't make any sense that the light source would be down here, but it helps not to drown out these lights, but it lights the top and the bottom like perfectly. So it's sort of like a makeshift spotlight without having to use the spotlights, because the spotlights are, I think they're a volumetric light. So they actually like cast shadows and stuff like that. So it's very performance heavy. I think that looks pretty good. I do want to take a little bit more of the red out though. Yeah, it's better. I think we go with that. Yep. All right, cool. Let's grind this down. Oops. My bad. There we go. Awesome. Yeah, that looks really, really cool. Be a lot better when we get that stupid cargo container out of the way. Looks so good. Okay, I think that's gonna do it. I'm pretty sure I tidied up all the things. Oh no, I totally forgot. One more thing I wanted to do. I got some really cool suggestions for this. So that's what we're gonna do. First, let's get in spectator cam. And increase the turning capability. There we go. So I want to make sure this is not going to get in the way of anything. We might get in the way if we extend this out too far, but don't think we'll need to. All we need is a wall along here. What about this side? Nah, that looks good as well. All right, cool. Awesome. Then we're going to put some pipes in here. Oh, actually, I wanted to change the color. I was thinking this orange that we used for the batteries. Ooh, definitely not. Oh shit, I totally forgot. If we do that, these will have to stick out. Because the pipes are taking up that square inside. Which definitely doesn't look as good as this. Trouble is I don't want to push that out too far because it's gonna start encroaching on this rock wall that we need. So if we have a look in here, yeah, you can see where it is already. We'll place a light in here. And to be honest, if we're gonna push it that far back, I don't think we need to put these in here at all. Shit. Batteries. All right. Time to get another battery. Jesus. My poor mining ship. Wow, that was violent. Oh, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to set up the ship commands for this as well. So we can do all this stuff from the ship itself. So we're going to need an antenna for that. Hey guys, so I'm going to probably cut out the last couple of hours of that video because I don't think it's going to be beneficial to anyone, because what I was doing is setting up the transmitter and receiver script, and I got so confused that it's just going to confuse everyone else as well. So I've got it set up now, but I'm going to cut out the process of getting it set up and try and do just a quick rundown of how it's working. So probably the best place to start is going to be the base itself. So we'll need an antenna on the base that's going to receive messages from the ship. And then if we go down to our server room, I've got 2 timer blocks set up. Okay, so this one is battery attached. So the only thing it does is it has that battery attachment rotor and it's set to attach. And then this one next to it is detach. So it just detaches the battery. And I should probably get some signs made up for it. Okay, so I've got the sign set up so we know which one's which, and then I've got a programmable block for the actual receiver script itself. So go into your browse workshop and then select the transmitter receiver script. Then you've got to this is basically the only thing you need to set up. So if it's a transmitter, which the base isn't, the base is a receiver. It's receiving the messages and doing the actions. So we set this to false, and if that's set to false, then we don't need to worry about changing the name of this. So you just check code and then remember and exit, and that sets up the receiver. If we go to our antenna for the base, you've got to assign the programmable block. So the receiver script needs to be assigned to that. That way it knows which antenna to use to receive commands. All right, so then if we go to our spaceship and have a look at the programmable blocks in here. So I've changed one of them. I've loaded up the same transmitter receiver script, but we've got this set to true. So this one's a transmitter. And then all you've got to do is change the antenna name to whatever the antenna of this ship is. So that's what that is. And then check code and remember and exit. From that point there, you can then set up your G menu. So I've got everything on my second toolbar. And all you've got to do is drag that programmable block. There's a million in here because we're attached to the base at the moment. There, so if you drag that down to the hotbar, it'll ask for an argument. The only argument you need to put in is for the timer block that you want to, whatever action you want to do, basically. So you type the name of the timer block in. So we've got the opening door script, which is actually we'll be able to access those because we're attached to the base. Yeah, so I've got that one there. Actually, I'll just do it so you can see it. So just run and then type in whatever the name of the timer block is. So we'll do battery door. And then whenever I hit that button, it'll run this timer block, which will open the door. So I've got that for these two here. And that's battery attach and battery detach, although I think detach is first and then attach is that one. And then I did the same thing for the solar tower. So that's what these ones here are. Let's get rid of that. So if we go up here, you can see I've got an antenna up there. And I've got two timer blocks, one to attach all the batteries and one to detach all the batteries. So I've got a group with all the battery rotors in it. So the idea is when we come up to collect a battery, we detach all the batteries, we pick one of them up, and then we reattach all the batteries. And then obviously it's not going to be able to reattach the one that we've already taken. But there's a little bit more functionality I want to add to that. So what we're going to do is change this slightly. When we detach the batteries, let's get rid of this first. So before we detach the batteries, I want to put all the batteries on discharge. So that way, when we take it down to the base, it'll already be set up to discharge. We don't need to remember to do that. So let's go to groups. We should set up a new group. Okay, so we want these ones here. So we don't want those ones because they're attached to they're the buffer batteries. We only want the ones that are going to be replacing our base batteries. And we'll just call it battery banks. So we'll save that. Go back into our, detach. Okay, so battery banks, we want to take off recharge. So we'll have to do that first. Then we want to put on discharge, and then battery rotors detach. That's it for that one. Now, when we attach them, we want to attach all the batteries. Then we want to take off discharge and put on recharge. So they'll start recharging automatically. So let's do that. So we can leave that there. And then all we want to do is go to our groups and battery banks. Take off discharge and put on recharge. Now they're toggles, so I don't have any direct control. Like I can't just say put on discharge. Discharge will have to be off, and then this will have to be triggered. So it'll take a little bit to get it set up, but because it's just a toggle, once everything's set up, it'll just work properly. So we can actually test that. Actually, let's grab the ship. And we will need to add these batteries that are in here currently to the rest of the to the group and everything up there. Oh, actually, one thing I wanted to do is I was just in creative mode playing around with something, and this retractable landing gear block is it's not very safe. they seem to fling out every time I park or unpark, and I can't get it to stop, even if I put them on rotor lock. And it actually caused the ship to flip and be destroyed in creative mode. So I'm going to remove them. Hopefully the mod author can tweak it and get it running really smoothly. But yeah, for now, I'm not going to be running with these. Yeah, see, that's it's pretty terrible. It's not worth the risk, honestly. They look really cool and I love them, but it's a little bit dangerous. It's too unreliable for me. Okay, regular landing gear. Let's go right there. Oh, Jesus, I just cooked myself. Okay, let's get those in a group. It's a shame. I really like the extending landing gear, but it's not. Let's delete that group. Take these off. Okay, G menu. To be honest, I probably want the gear on the other toolbar. So let's put switch lock here. So we don't need to use park, because park's going to use the landing gear at the same time. It'll try and lock it down, and it's just asking for clang, basically. So we'll get rid of these so we can put them down closer. Let's go to groups, toggle on off, toggle on off. And all blocks, we want to toggle the antenna on or off. Okay, let's go to the second toolbar. Now. Let's get rid of all this. So we want to be able to lock and unlock the landing gear from this toolbar. And then where's our programmable block? Okay, so right click and then run. First argument is we want to be able to open and close the door. So that's the name of the timer block that opens and closes the door. So we'll do that one. Next one, we want to be able to detach the battery first. So TB base detach, or is it battery detach? I think it's battery detach. Okay, next one, we want to attach the battery. There we go. Okay, now I want a gap in between this one, so I'm gonna hold down, right click, and actually drag it over here. Select run. Now this is for the solar tower, so this one's called TB solar tower. Detach. I think it's just detach. Damn. I'm gonna have to double check it. And then this one here, TB solar tower. Attach. All right, cool. Let's check it out. Wow, this thing has a lot of lift. Okay, so 7 to detach. No, I've labeled it wrong. Oh no, I need to I need to turn my antenna on. 7, beautiful. Okay, see how they turned green? That's usually a good sign that they've gone to discharge. Let's double check. Yes, awesome. So now we can just fly down here. We can lock it. And this will hover there perfectly. So I found out why it actually does that, where it was actually sinking. And Splitsie said that the inertial dampeners don't calculate the weight of any subgrids. So because we had pistons and we had the batteries attached on the ends of the pistons, basically, they were classed as a subgrid. So the inertial dampeners were only calculating how much force is needed to keep the ship itself up. And it wasn't taking into account the batteries. So that's why it was sinking like a rock whenever we picked up a battery. But yeah, like now that the landing gear are attached directly to the ship, the inertial dampeners can calculate the weight and adjust the force required to hold everything still. That's really cool. So from this point here, we've got our battery and we would reattach the batteries, which puts this one back on recharge, connects it back to the solar tower, and it's back on recharge now. Perfect. Okay. Now the only thing is when we come down to drop a battery off, these are in different states. This one's on recharge and this one's on discharge. Yeah, so if we just try to attach them at this state, this is going to hit discharge, which it won't be able to do because it's already on recharge. But then the next action is recharge and it just toggles it. So it'll actually turn recharge off on this state. So to fix that, to make sure everything stays in sync, we're going to detach the battery and then reattach. And then everything will stay in sync. And it looks like we're under attack again. Yay. Okay, so now we can't use P for park because the landing gear are a part of the main grid now. If I press P for park, it'll try to lock the landing gear as well. So that's why I've got switch lock on the connector. So that way we can trigger just the connector and the landing gear will stay there. Let's turn off the antenna, turn off the thrusters, put on battery recharge. Okay, that's good. I feel a lot better about that. And hopefully I explained it clear enough that you guys would be able to do it for yourselves, because it's a really, really cool script. Yeah, and I didn't want to show that the first attempt of me getting it set up because it would have just confused everyone. So hopefully you guys understood it. It's actually really, really simple to set up. You just got to remember that for the receiver, you will need to assign the programmable block to the antenna. So for the actual ship itself, you don't need to do that because it's a transmitter. So you don't need to assign the programmable block to it. But yeah, the base you will, or whatever you're trying to trigger to do something. All right, that's good. I feel more confident about that now, and I'm glad we got rid of those landing gear. As much as I love them, because they looked really cool and everything, it just, yeah, it's not safe. Okay, so that's all good. I do want to check the batteries. I'm hoping you guys will come up with a good solution for this, because currently, even though these are on discharge, they're not taking priority. So the current output of that battery is 2.7 megawatts. If we go to our base batteries, which don't have anything, they're just on full automatic. Oh, that one's empty. See, that one is on, it's got the same output. Like, it's not being prioritized. If I put these on recharge, and I think I've explained this before, it they will take the charge from this battery, but in 18 minutes in 18 minutes all these batteries are going to be empty, and the only batteries on the base that have power are going to be set to recharge, so they won't be distributing any power. The base will cut out completely, and then that's going to result in connectors being turned off and ships falling and blowing up. So it's like we need to, maybe instead of putting those two on recharge, we just put these two on recharge, and then these will continue to drain. And they're actually going to drain faster than what these will. Yeah, it's, I don't know. We need like a backup battery type of thing. There's probably some sort of a script I can use that'll do it. But basically I want to, like, as soon as these are empty, I want these to be taken off recharge. That's, you know, that'd be ideal. It'd be similar to how Izzy's ship refueler works, because the way it works is if you have multiple batteries, it will assign one of the batteries as a backup battery, so it won't go on recharge. So the rest of them will start recharging, and then every now and then it changes which battery is the backup, so they all get charged. And it works really, really well, but that's only for ships. It's not going to work for our base. So I don't know. I don't know what to do. It's not something I want to take care of by myself. Like, I don't want to have to rely on me remembering to take batteries off recharge, because I will forget, and it's gonna result in blown up ships. But anyway, let's continue on. I did want to try and pretty this up. Because we've got everything else looking really, really good. And it's just this section here that we need to cover up. Yeah, let's do that. And then take out a little bit more. There we go. Oh, we're busting through. It's not good. All right, let's try that. Yeah, it still looks like it just cuts off. Let's go a little bit further. Yeah, that looks better. All right, I'm happy with that. How's the asset look? Oh, damn. That looks terrible, doesn't it? I can see right through there. But I'm afraid that's probably all we've got time for. I know we didn't get to finish the pipes because because the power to the base cut out. I don't know. We'll do something. I mean, that doesn't look too bad. But like we have to go back 2 blocks. It ends up making this room extremely wide. Wider than it needs to be. Because the grate takes up the first block. I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do. But anyway, that is all we've got time for. I hope you enjoyed the video. As always, don't forget to lead your targets, and I'll see you next time.